Hello and welcome to the NBL. Alright. So we got the game recaps for yesterday. This is board 1 of 2. I do got a Nashville Predators reverse retro hat on. This is like the very first hat I got. I don't like wearing it much just because of what it has. I don't mustard yellow. I never liked that. That's the main color of the hat. But I do think this is cool. That logo. So, let's get to these recaps. So, we start with the Utah Raptors and the Portland Lakers. Final game of a 3-game series. I did screw it up and I just erased and forgot to put it back on. So, Portland, they'll win this series 2-1. And they lost, I believe that... I have my thing open right here. Okay, so yeah, they lost the first game to the Raptors, and then back-to-back wins to win the series, 5-2. To win this game 5-2. They both have 8 hits, no errors for either team. But Portland, they're able to get consistent hits, and again. Utah, not so much. Just the 2 runs scored. Portland wins this game and the series. They win this game 5-2, and they win the series 2-1. Then we head to Orlando, final game of a 3-game series for the Sunrays. And they get the 5-2 win over the Oakland Ocean. They took game 1. They were shut out 2 days ago for game 2, and yesterday they won 5-2. Then, and they win this. So before I move to get Montreal, Toronto, which I covered that one. 9 hits, 1 error for Oakland. That probably doesn't help. The 1 error. And then just the 7 hits, no errors for the Orlando Sunrays. Then we head to the Montreal Expos and the Toronto Huskies. So the Battle of Ontario, final of a 3-game series. And this one, weird series. Montreal, they do squeak out game 2. They somehow win that game after losing 14-7. So their pitching staff's not great. They somehow win game 2. And then here in game 3, they just gave up hit after hit after hit, all in the second inning. They got some of it back with a 2-run homer in the same inning, in the bottom half, for Montreal. But they ended up losing 5-3. Because 4 of the 5 runs came in 1 inning for the Toronto Huskies. 8 hits and 1 error for the Huskies. For the Expos, 9 hits, 1 error. So an error on both sides. Then we head down to New Orleans, between the New Orleans Gators Tampa Bay Titans series in downtown New Orleans. So the Gators here, they're able to squeak out a win in this series, but they get blanked yesterday in game 3 of the series. They get 5 hits and 1 error, a crucial error. And as the Tampa Bay Titans, they have the same 5 hits. They don't commit an error, but they bring 2 runs home. So Tampa Bay blanks out the Gators. Some great pitching staff, and they win themselves this series 2-1. Oh, and I didn't put the little series score for. It's fine. I can just tell you. So, oh yeah, the Aliens sweep this series. They win all 3 games. This one was a close one. Most likely it went to extra innings because the game doesn't tell you. So the Albuquerque Aliens, they almost blew it, but they squeaked out an extra run on 1 less hit. They have 14 hits. The Sailors have 15. The Sailors do commit an error. That probably right there. I could see that those 2 being connected. There's a good chance they are, but it doesn't necessarily mean they are. So the Sailors, a crucial error. The Aliens win 9-8. They sweep the series. 14 hits, no errors for the Albuquerque Aliens. For the New York Sailors, 15 hits and 1 error. So you get 1 more base hit, but your payout, what you give up is an error. So then we head to San Francisco and Vegas. And another sweep. That's the Firebirds. They sweep the Gamblers with an 11-8 victory yesterday. 18 hits for the Firebirds, so just seems like an offensive overload. Their pitching, which made up for their not so great pitching. and defense. Because, oh boy, they give up 14 hits and they let Vegas score 8 runs, and they basically just outscore them. And that wins them this. That's not only gives them the sweep, but they win this game. Just by the sheer numbers. Because then we head down to Columbus on the bottom row of board number 1 as the Aviators taking on the Philadelphia Liberty for the final of a 3-game series yesterday. And Philadelphia, they get back to their Philadelphia ways. 10 hits, don't give up an error. They score, and they're able to bring home six runs, and they hold Columbus to just three runs and 8 hits. And the Aviators, they commit 2 errors. They still win the series, however, 2-1, but they lose the They lose this game 6-3. Hopefully, I would love to see the Aviators sweep the series, but hey, they took 2 against a team who's had a fantastic start to their NBL season. Then we head over to the Houston Cosmos and the St. Louis Stars. So it's pretty close game here. Though Houston, they got almost as much as they could out of the offense they did have, because they didn't have much, just 6 hits. They scored 5 runs. And the Stars, the Cosmos, their pitching stuff, they gave up 12 hits, 7 runs scored, no errors in this ball game. Just double check, make sure I got the right team. Oh, yep, okay. It's similar to Columbus. Houston won the first 2 games of this series, but then their pitching staff kind of just fell apart in this one. And they let the Stars take game 3, 7-5. They still won the series 2-1, though. Final game of this board, the Cincinnati Stingers, the Boston Whalers. So a 5-1 win for the Cincinnati. So Cincinnati, they were some great pitching staff won in this game. I think they found Boston at their weak point, because the Whalers, they usually are a lot better than this. 1 run, 4 hits, 1 error. Stingers 5 runs, 9 hits, 1 error. So both teams come in there. The pitching staff just had and their field defense must have worked wonders. So the Whalers still win the series 2-1, but Cincinnati does avoid the sweep. So that'll do it for board number 1. On to board number 2. Alright, so here we go. Board number 2 for this one. We have we'll start with the Washington Monuments hosting the Detroit Motors for the final of a 3-game series. Hold on. Let's screw that up. It's supposed to say wins. That's I'm still making surprising. I'm getting really used to doing it this format. There you go. So the Monuments, they took the first 2 games of this 3-game series, and then they just fall short today. 2 runs and 4 hits. The Motors 5 runs, 5 hits, and an error. So Motors offensively, they basically perfect, leaving nobody on base, and Motors avoid getting swept. Then we head to Manhattan, where the New York Knights hosting the Vancouver Grizzlies. Grizzlies win 3-2. They win this game 3-2 again. This time they don't avoid a sweep. They won the first game, and then New York. Close game, but New York just couldn't get enough consecutive hits. But the Grizzlies, 3 runs, 7 hits, it's enough to get them to win, just enough to get them to win. And they win the series. Then we head to Texas for the Twister Dome for the Texas Twisters and the San Diego Seals. So San Diego, a rough night. A rough night for the San Diego Seals. And yeah, they've struggled in this series against the Twisters. They were able to win one of the games. They were able to win one of the games. I think the first game they blew them out, and then they lost back-to-back games to the Texas Twisters here. 7 9, because they're actually bringing runners home. Seals are living runners on base. Not enough consecutive hits in a row to bring runners home. That's the Seals' problem. And it loses them this game by quite a big margin. 7-1 win for the Twisters. They win the series 2-1. Then we head to the Edmonton Eagles and the Minnesota Northern Lights. Sorry if I'm standing right in front of the board so you can't see half of it. The Minnesota Northern Lights blanked. Some really good pitching staff for the Edmonton Eagles. They shut them out 4-0 on 8 hits. And for the Minnesota Northern Lights, 5 hits and an error. Which always that only helps the other team when you commit an error, or a player on your team commits an error. Then we head to the Seattle Sasquatch, final of a 3-game series against the Chicago Railers. So the Railers here, getting lots of hits, but they just can't get them all home. Similar to San Diego or Minnesota, a similar problem. And they commit 2 errors, enough to get the Sasquatch a run, because this was one of those real defensive games. 9 hits for Seattle, no errors. 8 hits for Chicago, two errors, and the Sasquatch get the only run of the game to win 1-0, and that wins them this series 2-1. Final game for today, the Atlanta Arrows and the Memphis Blues. A 10-7 offensive explosion, just like the game 2 days ago. So, the Atlanta Arrows and the Memphis Blues, they as many runs as possible, whoever get as many hits as possible, and whoever gets the most runs wins. You get loads of offense, 10 hits for the Blues, 15 hits for the Arrows. And then as their 5 extra hits gets them 3 extra runs. They win the game 10-7, and they win the series 2-1. And that does for today. See ya. Goodbye. We'll do it all over again tomorrow.